It is a good Thursday in Canada, everyone, as we welcome you on into OneSoccer today. Annie Petrillo, Gareth Wheeler, Oliver Platt with you. Are you still riding the high of last night? The Canadian men's national team picking up an all-important victory in World Cup qualifying, but they did it at home. Close to 27,000 fans packing BMO Field. They did it against a team who they're neck and neck with in the standings, Panama. 4-1 the final. Let's digest here today. Gareth, you were calling that game. I have to say, one of my favorite calls, and you know we're going to be talking about Alphonso Davies, and in particular the goal and what he means to this program. He's already the king of the North. Now he's coming for CONCACAF's throne. How would you summarize what last night meant for the Canadian men's national team?
By the way, you cannot get enough Game of Thrones references. You just got to throw them in there when you can. And Christine Sinclair is the Queen of the North. Well, we know who the King of the North is, and that's Alphonso Davies. The first time since 2019 he played that attack-minded role. How many times, Andy, on this program, you and Ollie and me and whoever else joins us, we all debated, is he a left back? Is he a wide left player? Well, he played all over the park, and one of the trademark signature goals in Canadian soccer history comes with him playing down the right-hand side. The speed, the power, the pace, the composure, the finish, he had all of it. A special night for Alphonso Davies. My partner on the call, Terry Dunfield, was absolutely spot on when he said, it's one of those moments, Andy, that you're going to look back years from now and said, I was there when Alphonso Davies scored that goal. That's how big it was. And the stage was massive, and under those bright lights, it was the Canadian players and Davies who shined the brightest. I'm still buzzing. I haven't slept. I don't know if you two have slept, but it's very difficult coming off that high. What the team, the players, the coaching staff, and what the nation experienced last night, it's extraordinarily special stuff.
Yeah, I think we'll look back on last night as the night where they really crossed into kind of mainstream consciousness in this country, right? I think they've been chipping away at that with results like the one in Mexico, which make people take notice. But I think last night was the one that was really the watershed moment where people are going to start paying attention to this team all across this country, whether they have watched soccer before a lot or not. I think there's something exciting going on here. We all knew it. But I think more people are going to catch on after last night because it had all the ingredients, right? It had the stakes. It was a massive win for Canada on the road to this World Cup. The 3 points is absolutely huge. It had this amazing crowd, which was absolutely electrifying all night long. One of the best nights I've ever experienced at BMO Fields. And there's been some pretty good ones with Toronto FC, but I think this was the best of the lot and on another level. And then this guy doing what he did, producing, as Gareth said, an iconic moment, I think, in the history of the national team program with that goal. Everything just came together on one night to produce something unforgettable. And yeah, I think this is the time now when this country is really going to start to get behind this team and understand how special this is.
This game really did have everything. You can make a movie on it, right? I had already talked about the stakes here with Panama and how close they were in the standings. John Herdman calling it the 6-point game. Panama scoring first. This team not getting down on itself, coming back. The fans, gentlemen, as we know, because of new COVID protocols and having to show proof of vaccination, there was a huge delay in fans getting into the building, but that's okay because Canada saved their best for that second half, scoring 3 goals in 12 minutes in front of all of those fans. And yes, there is the emergence. I mean, are we saying still emergence, or has he already arrived, right, in Alphonso Davies? And Ollie, let's just talk about that goal, because that ended up being the go-ahead goal. That was the goal that won it. But the audacity of him to think that he could beat everyone down the field, not pass it to Buchanan either, and take that shot. Ollie, that really seems like something only Alphonso Davies could do.
That's the thing, right, is, you know, the execution of it was absolutely unbelievable. But to even think that he could go and get that ball in the first place, to have the idea, like, there's very few players on earth, I think, who could have scored this goal. You know, I'd put Kylian Mbappe in there, maybe Erling Haaland, but we're talking about, you know, literally the best young players in the world, and Alphonso Davies, I think, is right in that conversation as someone who is capable of this. It was just an extraordinary moment. I was very obnoxiously saying when Jonathan David's played that pass, given the ball back, we need to keep the ball for a few minutes here because Canada's under a bit of pressure, and then that happens. It was unbelievable, right? And it's something that I think, I was walking around the pitch after our show had ended after full time, and there were some wide-eyed kids in that stadium still there, still kind of, I think, digesting what they'd seen on that night. That's one of those moments that is going to stay with people for a long time and inspire a lot of young people as well.
Well, anyone in that stadium, Ollie, like Davies, 25, 30 minutes after the game, was still out signing autographs, taking pictures. I think that it matters who he is off the field. It's a true story that everyone in this country can rally around. A refugee that came to this country, calls Canada home, is a role model for so many. He's more well-known than any other Canadian athlete on the planet worldwide right now, because he's so likable, he's gregarious, he's got personality. He really ticks all the boxes. And on the field, he's a modern footballer in every sense of the word. Like his size, his strength, his speed, he's got it all, really. The sky's the limit for this player. I think it's a reasonable question to ask, Andy. Like, he hasn't even played 30 games for country yet. He's played 28 games, he scored 10 goals. He's already has the most assists in Canadian men's national team history already. We are seeing a phenom like we've never seen before. There's been great players in Canada's past. Look at the 1986 team that qualified for the World Cup. Players like Craig Forrest, Alec Bunbury, Dwayne De Rosario, Julian de Guzman, players who forged the way, even Atiba Hutchinson. But right now, we're dealing with something entirely different, where a 20-year-old player who called Edmonton, Alberta home is now the best player in this region at 20, by the way, and has the makings of the potential to go on potentially as the best player that we've ever seen in CONCACAF. And think about that. Think about the great players, the Hugo Sanchez's, the Rafa Marquez, Keylor Navas, Dwight York, like Chicharito. These are all very good players, and they've won the biggest trophies there are to win in the game. But they weren't doing that at 20 years of age. They weren't doing it like Alphonso Davies is doing it right now. He is on a trajectory that we've not seen before, and he's worthy, Ollie, and you said it, he's worthy to be in the conversation with the likes of Hollands and Fodens and Bellinghams. Go on in Pedri's. These young players are getting all the hype. Well, Alphonso Davies has been there, done that from a club perspective with a Champions League winning team, arguably the best team over the last 3-4 years in Europe in Bayern Munich. And now he's leading a nation that's being starved of national success, leading them to new heights. There is scary potential here, Andy, and I think that we're just scratching the surface.
Gareth, why don't you just say what you really want to say? Alphonso Davies has made it because Drake wants his phone number. I mean, we're all thinking it. We all know you've made it when, but we clearly know where you stand on Alphonso Davies being the best in CONCACAF. Ollie, do you agree?
Yeah, I think potentially, yeah. And that's the thing right now is I don't know if we know what the ceiling is with Alphonso Davies yet. I think we thought we knew because he went to Bayern Munich and became the best left back in the world. And obviously we're all thrilled about that, right? And it feels like, already feels like it can't get much better than that. We have the best player in his position in the world playing for one of the best teams in the world. So expect anything more would seem like, we're already asking too much. That would seem ridiculous, but maybe there is more there. Like watching him last night, it was like watching a young Gareth Bale to me. And it starts to beg the question, like, can this player not just be a left back for Bayern Munich, but could he be a forward for Bayern? Could he play as a winger for Bayern and be one of the top attacking players in the world? Like, he's 20 years old still. I don't think we can rule that out yet. And I don't know if that's not necessarily something people have thought about because, again, we're just so happy to have him as he already is. But I think that runway is still there. He is still so young and has so much, growth, potential growth in front of him that I don't think we know what the ceiling is with Alphonso Davies yet.
Yeah, pretty incredible every time you say only 20 years of age. Now, I did mention this game had everything, right? Okay, at the end of the first half, well, close to the end of the first half, we had a bench-clearing brawl. Typically reserved for hockey, right? But this is where it happened. We always talk about being CONCACAF, and it seems like Canada's really embracing it. So Daniil Henry there, he's warming up on the side. It's a Panama corner kick. He refuses to get out of the way. That is a pure CONCACAF move. And of course, it resorted to some pushing and shoving. And like I said, the benches ended up all clearing. Everyone ran to the corner. And Ollie, I'm curious here. Do you like what you saw from Daniil Henry and the fact that Canada is embracing these dark arts of CONCACAF?
I like it. I love it, to be honest with you. I think there's two parts of it for me. The first part is this team isn't being pushed around and they're staying on the right side of the line. They're not getting, stupid yellow cards or sendings off that are going to jeopardize their chances of winning games. But they are making it clear that this is their home stadium and the opposition is the away team and they're not going to be pushed around on their own turf. But I also think there's a tactical element to it, and I think it's quite clever because I think when that happened in the first half, and then also when Max Crepeau went down with an injury, which I don't think was an injury at all in the second half, they were both at moments in the game where Canada needed maybe a bit of a breather, a bit of a reorganization. I think maybe the wind had come out of their sails a little bit. And in the second half in particular, when Crepeau went down and got some treatment for something, probably nothing, John Herdman made his changes. He made a couple of subs, reorganized the team. 2 minutes later, it's 2-1 to Canada. So I think this is something that's very clever. I think it's something that Canada is finally starting to understand that, there's a bit of game management, there's a bit of savvy that you need to have in these games at certain moments, and they're using it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, there's no chance he's hurt. He used that essentially as a timeout. It's like calling a timeout in hockey or basketball, and it pushed Davies to the right-hand side and pushed Tajon Buchanan up top in a 4-4-2. It's a masterstroke by John Herdman and his coaching staff because Davies scores from that wide area, and guess what? Tajon scored 5 minutes later playing up the left side up front. And the fact that he was allowed to breathe and have that work, it's just showing tactical maturity. The players are executing, and it's not rushed. There's composure there. And when it comes to the Daniil Henry, we're streaming. I don't care. It's shithousery. That's what it is. It's shithousery. You're just being a shit disturber, and that's okay because you're holding your ground. You say this is our place. You play by our rules. The players have all talked about it. They want the place to turn into a fortress. That's what it's becoming. We'll obviously deal with the spat that happened at the end of the game, but Panama, after being smashed, just absolutely outplayed on the field, are trying to hold their ground in the middle of the park on our field post-match. It's like, get off the field. It was an absolute joke at that time, but Canada was pushing back, Andy. This is the thing. There's an attitude, there's a swagger, there's a brashness about this group, not in an arrogant, throwing the game into disrepute kind of way. It's just we're Canada now. We belong. This is our house. You're not going to push us off our mark. And I think that's something to celebrate. And I think that shows kind of the demeanor of this group, which bodes well for this team moving forward.
So that was highly entertaining. Unfortunately, after the game, gentlemen, there was still some rough stuff going on that was disappointing and quite frankly, disgusting if this is the case as well. Because Gareth, you had put out that, the reason why Panama was still on the pitch and we were hearing some boos and there was still some scuffling going on was that apparently Panama player spit at Richie Larea, at which point Richie ended up responding to your tweet, Gareth, saying, let's see what they do about it. So, of course, acknowledging that is exactly what happened. And here's the thing. So Richie's the one, with the throw in. And then clearly there's a reaction there from the Panama player who's backing up. So that's where the incident apparently occurred as you get a closer look at it. What do you make of this, Ollie?
I mean, there's not much to say on this, really, that hasn't already been said by Gareth and Richie there. It's gross, it's disrespectful. There's things that happen on the pitch in terms of competition and rivalry and obviously some words that get exchanged at times, and we see all of that. But to spit at someone is just a lack of respect for the individual across from you, right? It's inexcusable. It's something that should be very easily dealt with. I don't think it's something that we need to talk about much in terms of punishment. Suspend him. It's as simple as that. It's something that we shouldn't see on a pitch.
Mm-hmm. No, ultimate sign of disrespect, that's for sure. And Panama not wanting to leave the pitch either, and that created quite the kerfuffle. And before finally the Canadians separated and said, we're celebrating with our fans, leave us alone. And that's exactly what they did. Close to 27,000. I am so excited to see what Edmonton will bring, as Canada's next 2 World Cup qualifying games will be in Edmonton in November against Costa Rica and Mexico.